Growing up in the 90s, there was always something special about Nintendo Power. And it was a magazine that I always looked forward to and that I got at a time in my life before I could really think critically about video games and media, and that I just took at its face value. And this was the entry point to the world of Nintendo. These are some of my early Nintendo Powers, and you could just, the layout, the ability to kind of look and see a map like this. I mean, well before the internet, well before really there was any opportunity to even have this kind of panoramic overview of, in this case, Link's Awakening. To get this magazine was something special. And with each page, you got insight and you were opened up to the world of Nintendo. I often found that I could only play the games that I could rent. I certainly could not afford to buy a lot of the games on the shelf. And so if you saw a game, in this case like the Addams Family, on the shelf in a store and you're like, I wonder what this game is all about, you could experience it through Nintendo Power. Now, obviously, Nintendo Power was pure marketing. Their reviews were not really reviews. I mean, this was all geared towards talking up the world of Nintendo. But again, as a kid, that was completely okay with me. And in 2012, when Nintendo Power shut its doors, I was sad. I mean, it was a piece of my youth that went away. Now, in all fairness, I had stopped reading it probably around the N64 era. I realized what it was, and I had moved on to magazines like Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro, Game Fan, things like that. But much to my surprise, I realized there is still a Nintendo magazine out there, and it is called Nintendo Dream. I discovered this magazine outside of New York City. There's kind of like a Japanese mall on the New Jersey side. It's called the Mitsuwa Marketplace, and they have a bookstore kind of in this strip mall plaza. And I happened to be in there one day just kind of browsing around, killing some time, and I saw a Nintendo magazine, and I thought, wait a minute, does Nintendo Power still exist in Japan? And it doesn't. This is not really from Nintendo, but it very much captures the vibe of the old Nintendo Power magazines. And you can see the layouts are maybe not as interesting and nostalgic as the original Nintendo Power, but what this magazine does is it takes you on a journey through the world of Nintendo as it exists today, the world of the Nintendo Switch. And I think these days it is just something special to see, and if you're a fan of Japanese print media as I am, you can still see that there is that attention to detail. And as a source of information, obviously everything is on the internet, but you do get an idea, especially if you're into importing, as to what's coming up, what you can find out there, and you do get a taste of the latest games for the Nintendo Switch platform. So what I thought I would do is open up two of the latest Nintendo Dream magazines that I received. We have the November 2024 edition and the September 2024 edition. And the reason I picked these up was because they were both focused on The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is an absolutely fabulous game. I talked about it on the last podcast that we did. It's going to be one of my all-time classics, and I wanted to get some kind of physical media dedicated to it. I'm going to start off opening the September version, because this was somewhat expensive to get, and I am not sure why. So right off the bat, when you pick up one of these magazines, you always get some kind of poster or other bit of memorabilia. This is obviously Nintendo World Championships, a rather disappointing game from my perspective. Maybe I'll talk about that some other time, but you get something like that, and this comes apparently with a CD. I'm not sure. This was rather, like I said, expensive. And yeah, in fact, you do have a CD of an Undertale concert, so maybe that's why this was expensive. But I'm curious to see the layouts here. And Echoes of Wisdom, just an absolutely wonderful game. And you can see how the magazine is designed when you talk about... We got some Donkey Kong here. Pretty interesting. I see, this is cool. Metroid Prime Beyond. Prime 4. I have not done a lot of reading about this. Now, you might say, well, you have to be fluent in Japanese, obviously, but I do feel that there are a couple tools that you can use to enjoy these magazines. First of all, Google Translate with the Google Lens function is really cool, and it works reasonably well. The other thing you can do is if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, you can just take a picture, say, of the whole 2 pages, say translate this, and sometimes it'll give you like a summary, but you can say translate in its entirety, and it will give you a translation, and you can really read and appreciate the reporting and the information and stuff like that. It's not that difficult. Here we have Mother, 30th anniversary of that, and we'll learn something about this symphony. So yeah, I'm not sure why. I think I paid maybe 20 bucks for this. Usually these are pretty cheap. These kind of run about 10 bucks if you get them from Play Asia. If I buy them from this store outside of New York City, yeah, maybe 10 or 12 bucks. But definitely, like I said, I like physical media. Definitely worth it to me. So sometimes you get something like this. It's just, I guess, like a protective sleeve for something. I've gotten kind of like nice laminated posters as well, so it just depends on the month. And we have more Legend of Zelda Echoes stuff, which is really neat. So we're looking here at the Nintendo Museum, which kind of sad I did not get to. I'm guessing that's in Kyoto. And we were in Kyoto, but never occurred to us to go here. Maybe next time, but you can really kind of like get a sense of all the Nintendo memorabilia, which is pretty neat. More info on this tremendous game. So yeah, I mean, I think the takeaway here is if you like Nintendo Power, this is, to me, as close as you're going to get. Is it the only Nintendo fan magazine out there? No, I mean, I think there are others. I certainly saw other stuff on the shelves in Japan this summer, but, you know, there's something about this. It's, again, layouts are good. Unlike Famitsu, it still has a higher print quality. It's not like the supreme gloss of the magazines of yesteryear, or even something like a modern New Type. But it just, you know, it takes you into the world of Nintendo. And if you had that experience growing up, I think it is worth it just to pick up one of these magazines every now and again, sit back, maybe play some retro music, have a drink, or just, you know, before you hit the hay for the night, you know, read through this. It's a fun and definitely nostalgic experience.